Hi, and welcome to Sound Sustainability. I'm Nafisa Nazir.
And I'm Leah Horick, and we're eco-reps at Southwestern University.
We created this podcast to help make our campus more sustainable.
And our world, too.
So tune in every other Friday to hear what's happening in sustainability at SU, and to learn what you can do to live a sustainable life.
So many things, guys.
Thanks for listening.
And stay sustainable.
Good morning, Southwestern, and thank you for joining us this morning.
So we're continuing our Halloween series with an episode dedicated to bats and bat conservation. And we have a guest speaker, Emily Sanford, who will share her expertise with us today. Hi, Emily. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks so much for inviting me, guys. I'm really happy to be here today.
Yeah. So Emily is a prominent figure in promoting bat conservation. She has a bachelor's degree in biology and environmental studies from Oberlin College and is the community manager at Bat B&B, which is a line of designer bat houses for backyard mosquito and pest control.
Outside of Bat B&B, Emily is actually a bat researcher and wildlife filmmaker. She received the Tom J. Watson Fellowship to independently study bat conservation across 9 countries, and has since co-founded an award-winning video production company, Wandering Path Productions. One of her films is called The Truth About Bats, and we'll make sure to put a link to the film in our description. So thank you for coming on today, Emily. We have some questions for you.
Great. What are your questions? I'm excited to hear them.
All right. Well, so first up, what got you interested in bats?
Yeah, I quite literally tripped into my passion for bats. And this happened summer of 2016. I was doing an internship in the Peruvian Amazon rainforest. And it was a disease ecology course for primates. And essentially, I was just walking through the jungle all day collecting monkey poop. And one day I was walking and I saw this mommy monkey like starting to groom her baby. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. So I put my binoculars like right up to my eyes and I was walking forward without looking where I was stepping. Which is a huge mistake. But anyway, I stepped down and there was like no ground beneath my foot. So I like stumbled backwards and fell over, and I looked at what I tripped over and there's this big hole in the ground.
Oh, geez.
I know. And when I looked inside the hole, there were these like weird bubbles in the bottom, and then something flew across. Oh. I was like, whoa, that was a huge moth. So I stuck a stick in to see how deep the hole went. And then all of a sudden, all of these bats poured out. And I was
gosh.
Like freaked out. I ran away screaming because at this point, I didn't know anything about bats other than, Halloween, vampires.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really freaked out. As I ran away, I told my friends, there's a weird bat hole in the ground. They're like, oh, you have to show us. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'd bring people back. We'd stick a stick in. More bats would pour out. So after doing this, like poor bats, but after doing this a couple of times, I lost my fear about them and I started becoming curious about them. Cool. So I started researching some facts, and I was just really blown away by learning about how important bats are and actually how cute they are.
Mm.
Yeah. Since then, I've been an bat advocate, I suppose.
That is such a, that's the best story ever.
Yeah. So
it's good to lucky I stepped there. Clumsiness kind of saved me.
Right.
So why is bat, I know that you advocate for bat conservation. I just want to know, from your perspective, why is bat conservation important and how does it contribute to overall sustainability?
Mm-hmm. Great question. So not many people know this, but bats are actually really crucial for our ecosystems and our economies. Because bats provide a lot of services like pest control, dispersing seeds, and pollinating plants.
Wow.
So, for example, a small Myotis bat can consume up to 1,000 mosquito-sized insects in an hour. Okay. And some species of pregnant bats will consume twice their body weight in insects every single night. Jeez. So they do a tremendous amount of taking harmful insects out of the landscape in a natural way. And by removing all these pests, we're able to use a lot less pesticides. And it actually saves the U.S. agricultural economy about $23 billion every year just by removing these pest insects.
Wow.
So that's one way that they're they provide direct benefits to humans, but also they disperse seeds. A lot of the rainforests in Australia exist because bats disperse their seeds. They're actually the world's largest distance pollinators as well.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah. And they pollinate many plants like bananas, agave, which is the plant that makes tequila, durian fruit, dates, macadamia nuts. So we have a lot to be thankful for bats for.
That is awesome.
And I remember when I was in Australia studying abroad last year, and I saw fruit bats for the first time, and I was freaked out at first. I was just like walking across campus, and I was walking to this tree, and I hear this like thunk, 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 thunk against the air. I'm like, oh my god, what is that? There's just all these fruit bats just like fly out of this tree. And I'm like, oh my god,
It's so cool.
Yeah, they're massive and incredible.
every day. Oh, fruit bats are there, and they call them fruities, which is so usually like in an Australian accent. It's like, oh, the fruities, and I'm like, oh, yes.
I hadn't heard that before.
That's hilarious. Well, that's super cool that they're responsible for the Australian rainforest. I didn't know that.
Oh, we also wouldn't have koalas if we didn't have bats, because bats pollinate eucalyptus trees, which is the number one. This like makes up all of koalas' diets.
Yeah, it's like the only thing koalas eat.
Yeah, exactly. So it's there's all interlinked.
Oh my gosh, have you seen Fern Gully before?
Yes, that movie scared me as a kid. Yeah.
It's kind of scary because like there's this giant smug monster trying to destroy the rainforest, but they have the protagonist is, well, like the side character protagonist is a bat named Batty, and he's great, and he's voiced by Robin Williams, and I love him.
Okay, I'll have to rewatch it.
That movie made me want to be like an environmentalist as a kid.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, so so bat conservation important, obviously, pretty undisputed. But I know so bats are having kind of an image problem in general, like throughout history, especially now with COVID. So like as a bat PR person, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, bats definitely do have a negative opinion or reputation globally, and a lot of that is based on misinformation and exaggeration of facts. And obviously with the creation of Dracula, bats kind of got associated with vampires and night mysteries. And I think part of the reason for that is because bats are nocturnal and they're hard to see, and it's easy to fear what you don't see. So I think a good way to kind of combat that myth is by showing photos of real bats. And actually, when they're not being threatened, they're really quite cute up close. If you've never Googled baby bat burrito, you should do that. They're orphaned bats that have been snuggled up. So once you kind of take away that mystery, they become a lot less scary. But also, especially with the emergence of COVID-19, there's been a lot of misinformation about a bat's role in the spread of the disease. And actually, right now, it's not been confirmed to have originated from a bat. It's suspected that it might have, because a similar virus called SARS-CoV-2 came from a horseshoe bat. But it's still not confirmed if COVID did. And even if it did, it might have come through a different species intermediary host. But even if it did, we really shouldn't be blaming the animals, because it's our fault that it jumped into human populations, because we took these animals out of their wild environments and kept them in captivity in unsanitary conditions. So
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Or we like developed into their habitats and left them nowhere to live. So
yeah, that too. So it's if anyone's to blame, it's really our fault. But the problem is, well, you don't really see all that detail in just a headline. They'll say like bats and COVID, and that association is there. And the problem with that is that people will start to fear bats because of that association. And oftentimes, like in Peru and in India, I know some people or some communities went and tried to go cull the bats, which is another word for killing the bats. Just to try to reduce the risk of disease transmission. But actually, if you go and disturb them, that way increases your risk of catching. So I guess to summarize, bats flying around your neighborhood are not a threat. As long as you're not touching a bat, then there's there's an incalculably small risk of a disease from a bat coming to you. So just if you see a bat on the ground, don't touch it. Call a wildlife professional. Use gloves. If you have to, but having a bat in the community, it will do you more good than harm, because they'll be consuming insects like mosquitoes, which can carry other diseases. So
Yeah.
Your question.
Oh, I did, totally.
Great.
Could you tell us a little bit about your company, Bat B&B, and how has it contributed to overall bat conservation?
Yeah, so Bat B&B is a line of designer bat houses for backyard mosquito and pest control. And Bat B&B has all of the bat B&Bs that we've designed have been designed with and approved by Dr. Merlin Tuttle, who really paved the way for bat conservation. He's a really renowned bat conservationist. And so we made sure that the bat B&Bs have features to make them ideal for bats. So they have large chambers, they have vents for ventilation and sealant and all these other things. Aside from that, Bat B&B has so far provided safe homes for bats for 500,000 bats across North America, mainly in the U.S.
Oh.
And our goal is to continue doing that and to eventually provide homes for up to 1 million bats in the U.S. That's our next goal.
That's so cool.
But aside from that, we also donate to bat conservation nonprofit organizations, and one of our main focuses is to educate people about the importance of bats.
That's so awesome. Yeah, Southwestern actually has 2 Bat B&B bat houses on campus now.
Oh, that's great. How does the community react to them? Are they positive? Are they scared of them?
I haven't heard anything negative, though. I'm definitely in the pro bats circle, so it's hard to tell. Nafisa, have you heard anybody be like, "Oh no, we shouldn't have the bats on campus"?
No, most of the reaction is positive. Sometimes people do get worried about rabies, but again, actually having a bat house actually encourages bats to leave your home or your attic and go live there, because the bat houses are designed perfectly to meet their needs. Mm-hmm. So, and also if you want an example of how bats and humans get along really well, just look at Austin, Congress Bridge in Austin.
Yes.
Which is home to millions, I forgot the exact number, but millions of bats, and people will go and look at them every night, and there's never been an issue of conflict between bats and people.
I love the Congress Avenue bat colony. It's so cool to see them fly out.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's a great tourist attraction.
Well, so Bat B&B seems pretty cool. I've listened to another podcast, actually, interview with Merlin Tuttle. I think it was on Ologies with I don't remember her name, but it was really cool. He's really awesome. He's a really interesting researcher, and he just loves bats. And it's just his love of bats is infectious in the good way, not in the way.
Reading his book partially got me interested in bats as well.
It's great to have those people who are just so enthusiastic about something that it just spreads everybody around them.
Yeah.
Hope in humanity.
That's what we need for conservation.
Yes, especially for conservation. Oh boy. So aside from getting bat B&Bs, what are the best ways to preserve the bat population? I mean, I assume the answer is going to be different depending on where you are, but what are the big things that we should be doing?
Right. So for my research project for the Thomas J. Watson Fellowship, I was kind of looking at what are the biggest threats to bats globally, and according to research, the number one threat, for a lot of species, is habitat loss, and so a good thing is that providing a bat house directly helps that problem, because it provides an alternative home while their forests are being destroyed. Because bats will mainly, or some species of bats will roost in trees for mainly this summer, spring, and fall. But aside from habitat loss, the other largest driver of bat declines is negative perceptions. And this is according to Dr. Merlin Tuttle. And the reason for that is that if people have negative perceptions, not only do they sometimes persecute bats directly, but also no funds will be going towards helping bats combat other threats like wind turbine mortality, or protecting a key roost that might be having a construction zone placed there, or the funds to help the white nose syndrome, which is a deadly fungal pathogen affecting bat populations around North America.
Yeah.
So combating people's negative perceptions of bats is crucial for helping bat conservation. And that's another reason why bat houses can help, because if you have a large box on your chimney, your neighbors will go, oh, hey, what is that? What is that up there? And you can say, oh, it's a bat house, and they're helping consume all the mosquitoes in our neighborhood. And then people might be like, oh, but don't they attack you? And you say, no, of course they don't attack you. So they can be great conversation starters for people to change those perceptions.
Well, awesome.
Do you have a favorite bat species?
Oh gosh, I have so many favorites. It's hard to choose. I really like the Honduran white bat. or the Honduran white bat, and the Chapin's free-tailed bat, which has a crazy mohawk. The males have a crazy mohawk for like dispersing their scent. I also like the spectacled flying foxes in Australia. Gosh, and the painted bat, those are incredible. They have like bright orange wings.
Whoa. Are the Honduran white bats, are those ones that look like cotton balls?
Yeah, they look like little white cotton balls, and they have bright yellow noses and bright yellow ears.
Oh my god. Everybody stop what you're doing and Google these bats. They're so huge.
Absolutely. It'll blow your mind.
Yes.
What kind of bats do we have in Central Texas and in Texas generally?
Oh gosh, I think we have about 15 species of bats. I know that there are 49 species of bats in the U.S. I've seen an eastern red bat around here.
So in East Texas?
In East Texas. I'll have to send you a link because I can't remember all of the species. Sorry, but I'm sure there's the big brown bat, the little brown bat. Eastern red bats are really cute because they have really fluffy tails, and they will curl their head up into it and use it as a blanket when they're sleeping, which is adorable. I
think we have some. I think in Central Texas, where Southwestern is, there are Mexican free-tailed bats, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, I believe those are Mexican free-tailed or Brazilian free-tailed bats live in Congress Avenue Bridge. I believe Brazilian free-tailed bats, but yeah.
There are so many bat species. I remember seeing some statistic about how many there are, and it just blew my mind.
Actually, bats make up 1/5 of all mammals.
Wow.
And there's more different types of bats than different types of dogs. So there are 14,000 species, roughly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, on the topic of bats image and bat spreading the gospel of the bat, so you've co-founded this film company, Wandering Path Productions. Would you say that the production of your films has generated greater interest in bat conservation and sustainability in general?
I really hope so. Creating this film was a way for me to summarize my research project, because I traveled to 9 countries and had interviewed hundreds of people. I had filmed 170 or so interviews, so I was able to kind of go through it and pull out common threads from all of these, and that was how I made the film. And yeah, the people who've seen it have said, "Oh, I had no idea that bats were so important, or that they're so cute," and so I have seen people's opinions of them changed by watching it, which is nice. I do think I could have done a better job of promoting the film and sharing it further, but
oh no.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That it's so cool that you've been able to study something you're passionate about and share it with other people. And go to 9 countries just sounds super cool. That's amazing.
Yeah, I felt very lucky to get that grant. It was amazing.
Yeah. So I think that's about all the questions that I have. Nafisa, do you have any other questions you'd like to ask?
Yeah. So I know that you emphasize how creating a positive image of bats. How exactly would we go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a really good way to change people's attitudes of bats is just to share or post a photo of a bat, what it looks like up close. Merlin Tuttle Bat Conservation has so many amazing photos that you can look at there. And that does a great job of changing people's attitudes, but also being wary of not spreading misinformation or kind of fear catching head titles like bats and disease, because it's the threat it sometimes takes the threat of it out of context and makes it disproportionate.
Yeah.
So yeah, just watching out for false information, sharing positive photos, and helping bats by putting up a bat house if you can.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I know one thing that I really enjoy is when I'm in my backyard at dusk and I just see bats flying above me and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So
yeah, I've actually gotten to a point where if I see a bird, I'm like, a bat, oh, just a bird.
I'm always confusing the swallows and the bats because they fly slowly and they stay the size. I'm like, oh, is that a bat? And I'm trying to see if it's does it look like it's moving like a bat? I'm like, nah, damn, that's just a swallow.
I'm too biased to that now.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your bat knowledge with us, Emily.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
All right, well, we have some news for the Southwestern community about sustainability. So as y'all all know, this week is Campus Sustainability Week. This episode won't come out until tomorrow morning, but right after this at 11 a.m., the EcoRups grounds team is doing a wildflower planting in the new wildflower meadow outside of Robertson Gym. So if you want to join them, just meet at the chapel parking lot at 11, and you can just chuck seed bombs at the ground and spread the joy of wildflowers. So
Yeah, spread the joy of wildflowers. Also, tomorrow or Saturday, from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., we will do plogging. We're going to meet at the SU Garden. You're going to join the waste team in getting some fresh air and making the campus beautiful by plogging. So plogging comes from a combination of Swedish words meaning to jog while picking up trash. So we welcome everyone to join us in exploring through the woods on campus and leaving it better than we found it.
yeah, just be careful, because last time I went plogging in the woods on campus, I tripped and almost like face planted. So plug careful, everybody.
I've been into a bat hole.
Thankfully, it was not a bad hole, but that would have been pretty cool, honestly, if we had like bat colony on campus. All right, and then lastly, on October 20th, the grounds team is holding a Native Plants in Central Texas webinar for our sustainability webinar series. So it will be at 3 p.m. on October 20th, and you can come listen to us tell you all about native plants in Central Texas, and then have a Q&A with our resident plant expert on campus. So don't miss that.
That's that.
And as a special piece of news, as of yesterday, or the 15th, which is today for us, Nafisa's 20.
Yeah.
So happy birthday, Nafisa.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. I guess this episode was kind of my birthday gift, so.
Much more
working on your birthday.
thing than the one that we did about death last time. How does it feel to be 20?
I don't know. It's just so weird to like be in the second decade, with my age starting with the 2. So
It's so weird, yeah.
yeah.
And it just keeps getting weirder from there. I was in class the other day with a professor, and he was like, y'all, I've been teaching this class for like, and then he paused, he's like, oh God, I'm 40. And he just like sat there and like stared at the desk for a second, and I was like, Doc, like, are you having an existential crisis? It was really funny. So, all right, well, I think that's it for this episode.
Oh wait, can I add one more thing? I forgot.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, so anyone listening to this episode can also use a special discount code called BAT Sustainability for 15% off at BAT B&B.
Ooh, yay! That's so exciting. This is our first promotion.
Yeah. So just BAT Sustainability.
Awesome, and we'll post that in the show notes on our website.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you all, and everybody. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everyone.